Hello and welcome to SaksWorks Online. I'm Rachel Sklar, VP of Programming and Content at SaksWorks, and I'm so happy today to welcome Genevieve Angelson, actress, writer, ASMR artist, interpreter of my deepest motherhood fears, but we'll get to that. Well, you know, and that's how we met. I just saw your face.
Gosh, yeah, of course.
And just all around very cool person. I'm coming to you today from my home. I have lots of plants around here. If you come visit us at SaksWorks, you will see many plants. So I just tried to give it the general vibe. But I am at home because we're doing SaksWorks online. But you can come visit us at SaksWorks because we are open. We are a new membership club, co-working community space. We've got wellness programming, amazing leadership talks like the one we're doing today with Genevieve, and just a whole host of amazing amenities. So if you go to saksworks.com right now, you can sign up for a complimentary day pass and come on in and have a little visit and have a chill. And there's a plant, not unlike one of these, except they will be real plants, and most of these are not, but no shame, no judgments. We're all just trying to get through the pandemic. So on that note, Genevieve, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. You are many, many things. I first encountered Genevieve watching The Good Girls Revolt, which, as a person who is a former media reporter and always feminist, I had the book. A fun fact about the book, The Good Girls Revolt, on which the series that Genevieve starred in was based. One of our previous speakers, Jessica Bennett, is in the opening paragraph of that book. So everything comes back to SaksWorks is, I think, the point of this story. But I just remember being just absolutely mesmerized by her, and she's a fairly mesmerizing actress. She's been in The Good Girls Revolt, most recently Flack. She's has a turn now on New Amsterdam, where she plays a holistic medicine, holistic healing doctor.
Head of holistic medicine. This is a position in which I show up with my crystals and my acupuncture needles and my Tibetan sound bowls, and I heal through alternative natural methods. I'm Gwyneth.
And
I'm playing Gwyneth.
I mean, I learned about crystals just from your intro on that show. I don't,
by the way.
No, it was
that, like, I play this I am totally out there, and I'm totally woo, and I love plant medicine, and I'm so like into all of that stuff. But you will also catch me drinking a Coke Zero at 8:30 in the morning. Like, I really am. My body is made of trash, and yes, queen.
got some Diet Coke here. So we knew we liked each other.
Wait, but you know, actually, listener, you don't care, but like, I have had a Twitter crush on you for so long. I actually, like, I just met you as a fan of your tweets, and then I sent you like an essay of mine that I wrote like ages ago, and I was just like, I just really like you.
I mean, I came to you as a fan so the backstory of how Genevieve and I actually met in person, or I guess this is the extent of in person, was we both participated in 24-hour monologues, which is like 24-hour plays. They do shows, plays, musicals, monologues. They are written, memorized, performed inside an hour, like stage directed, everything. And I was lucky enough to do one, and I was paired with Genevieve, who performed my monologue, and it was written from the perspective of a young mother, sort of dictating her like what she wants to like leave her daughter in the event of something untoward happening to her. And Genevieve really, this is my PSA. If you're ever gonna write something, have Genevieve perform it, because it will elevate the material. Anyhow,
that means not memorize it and rewrite half of it.
No, it was honestly, it was so great. Also, I'm like a pretty dense writer. It's a ridiculous, the whole thing was a heroic undertaking on your part.
I don't know that people watching will know exactly what you're talking about, but there's this organization that's so tremendous, and they're called the 24-hour plays. And in normal times, in the span of 24 hours, a writer writes a play, a director then casts actors and directs that play, and the actors perform that play all within 24 hours. And it's usually takes place on Broadway. And then in the pandemic, it's been a monologue, and it's just me memorizing 4 pages of material and hoping that like I have one good idea.
And and thanks to this collaboration, SaksWorks actually hosted the 24-hour plays gala in December.
So
so it all really does come back to SaksWorks and plants and plant-based medicine, and also plant-based drinks. I don't actually know what, I'm gonna, so, but what we're here to talk about many things, but I wanted to talk about 2 of your more current projects, in addition to New Amsterdam and also on Archon, This Is Us. Are you just able to, are you a person, is your character gonna like die a tragic, sad death? Or, no, I'm just kidding. I know you're not supposed to share spoilers.
I don't know if I'm not supposed to share spoilers.
No, I think you're not. Even though I know it's in like my self-interest to sort of say like, yes, share something, but I think you're not. That's my guess.
No spoilers.
Okay. I am really good at encouraging subjects to make news here at SaksWorks. But we can make news because I want to hear all about the Afterparty. So Genevieve is in Apple TV's new ensemble comedy that looks delightful and hilarious, and frankly, like the escapist entertainment like I kind of need right now. It's so
fun. It's so fun. It's so stupid. I mean, it's so stupid. It's the creators of 21 Jump Street. So that kind of gives you an idea of like the tone of the world that we're living in. And I have to say, so we began shooting it like 15 months ago, like a long time ago. And things were really different in the country then. Like we didn't have any vaccines, and I at least was like not, I didn't see anyone. I was, I mean, even my friends, it would be like, it was just a no. And there was like a deep isolation and depression. This is like, October, I think, of a year ago. And so I'm in a way glad that it's coming out now, because what you'll see is that what then subsequently happened for me is that I was in a pod. Do you remember pods? I was then in a pod with Tiffany Haddish, Sam Richardson, Ben Schwartz, Zoe Chow, Jamie Demetriou, John, or like those people became my pod, where most people had like the husband they're not so sure they still want to be with, the children they've ceased to like. And it was like, I was before we had even tests, like we didn't have tests. I was being tested every single day, twice a day. And so I was safe. I was relatively safe. I remember like, again, this is over a year ago. So there was dramatically less that we understood about the virus, and really like it could come from anywhere. It could come flying out of I don't know, a car exhaust pipe. So like I would be sitting in my trailer, and there was this thing called the COVID safety squad. I'm sure I think they still have those. And they would come by every 10 minutes. I would just hear, and they were washing the outside of my trailer to keep the COVID off. And it was just like, it was like that. So, but my point is, I'm glad that this isn't coming out then, because I think it would have been a big fuck you to everyone in the country of like, look how much fun we're having while you guys are going through a pandemic. This would have felt tone deaf, but now it just feels fun.
Some parts of the country were just kept on having their parties. However, maybe we won't get into
LA.
Or like, Mark Meadows at his daughter's wedding. But anyhow, was it fun? Like, I know obviously when you're shooting something, it looks fun. It looks like a massive party, but how was the shooting done? Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So on the one hand, it was the best job of all time. right? Like, given the circumstances, the fact that I got to go to work with these people, they just are as good as you want them to be. Like, there's no salacious detail I can give you. That group of people is astonishing, kind. And also, I think, like, there was this kind of, although we didn't get to have that thing that most companies have where, like, you can get together for a beer afterwards, because, like, that not possible. It also was this thing where, like, we all we had was the contact of each other. So, like, it really did become like a pod. And I think because of that, I've been on a million shows, and I've never been on a show or even in a play where, like, the company continues to talk really afterwards, particularly like 6 weeks afterwards. The after party text thread is still all day, every day, still going. Here's what
Can you read to us from it? There they go. We can make that news.
Wait, I don't have my phone in front of me. Hold on, let me see some good ones. It's usually a lot of pictures of John Early, not from John. It's more like a John Early worship, an altar to John Early.
Okay. That's fair, frankly.
Lately, it's been a lot of Chris Miller telling us what we're supposed to be posting on Twitter.
And what you're supposed to say in a Zoom.
No, I haven't been coached for that, so I can mess it all up. But the stuff about it that was not easy at all was that in the beginning, we were shooting. So for those of you, the uninitiated, the After Party is a really fun new show coming to Apple on Friday, January 28th, if this happens on replay. And it is a murder mystery story that takes place at the after party of a high school reunion. And each episode retells the chain of events from a different character's point of view. And in doing so, changes the style of the show. So from one character's point of view, it's a musical comedy. From another, it's a thriller. From another, it's like an action movie. From my character, it's like an old art house film. And so in the beginning of the shoot, we were shooting the scenes that were outside of the after party itself, right? Like the lead up to it, some of the flashbacks. And then I remember around Christmas, which was when I found out that my parents were like, you know what, it's not safe for you to come home for Christmas. I'm going to be all alone in my apartment in West Hollywood. I also get the call from the producers that whereas in normal times, we would have an after party that would be full of background artists, because of COVID, that was not going to be possible, nor really in the storytelling would it have been possible if it were a crime scene for any of the characters to leave. So I went from being the actor who would come in and shoot her material and leave, to being the actor who is then also the background artist of every single shot, of every single scene, of the entire show. And I'm not a lead on the show. I have loved my part so much, but it became like first up in the morning, which for an actor means like 6 a.m. to by the end of the week, last there, which can mean however late into the night you're going. Because for those of you who don't know the shooting week staggers over the course of Monday to Friday. So you start first thing in the morning, and then by the end you're jet lagged to go all the way through the night. Boring detail, but what I'm saying is it was very long hours of me doing nothing, doing absolutely nothing, but sitting in the background of Alana Glazer's scenes and pretending to get absolutely shit-faced. And that was hard. That was really, really hard, and gives me an enormous amount of respect for the people who do that all the time. It's not easy work at all.
And so everybody in the company was like basically taking turns being the background.
Yeah, not just me. Yeah, not just me. It wasn't just like
it's at a party. So were you like eating and drinking the entire day?
Say that I was drinking the whole day. My character's cocktail of choice was a very dry a very dry vodka martini with a lot of olives. And I was doing that all day, but also I would get bored. And the set house like full of all of these like hors d'oeuvres and like treats and trays of things. And I had to keep being like, is that prop food or is that real food? And I would just sort of like take this out of like the different candy jars and stuff and be like, it's 3 weeks old. Okay. Just sort of minding my own raincoat crisp. Oh, that's made of rubber. Okay. So I just had to get creative to entertain myself.
So, but I'm still not clear. So could you eat? Like, are you allowed to eat? So, I'm sorry, I'm focusing on the details that I know I would be consumed by. If I was sitting there, I'd be like, okay, I see food. Am I allowed to eat that food? Do they direct you about what you're allowed to?
Well, the thing is, like, you have to, whatever action you decide to take, you have to repeat over and over and over again for every single take from every single angle. So if you want to eat those Raincoast crisps, you better get really committed to it. I did.
Really? That's a choice to be committed to Raincoast crisps, I think. It's healthy.
Yeah, it's my favorite. Have you ever had a Raincoast crisp? You think they're healthy, but they're cookies, really. I mean, when you eat a whole sleeve of them, they're cookies.
I mean, no, I confess I have not so delved, but now, I mean, with this recommendation, that's so do you know, did it, like, let's say they would have gotten the dailies. I'm sorry, I should know so much more. But, and there'd be a continuity issue. Would they be like, Genevieve, we need you back and we just need you to eat a few more of those Raincoast crisps?
Do you know, I'm not sure. This is the thing. This was a show that had so much improv that, I mean, like, so much. Obviously, Chris Miller and Phil Lord are geniuses and the whole thing is their idea, but they allowed us to really rewrite them wildly in the moment. I mean, we're dealing with like these really like the most gifted improv comedians that we have as a nation. And so he just let us go. And I'm talking about the rest of my cast, but he really just let us go. And so I think that while how many Raincoast crisps I may or may not have eaten would on a Mad Men perhaps have been an issue, I think that the onus of how to kill how many darlings the other actors were creating was probably like the real central issue of the editor.
I mean, I like, this is some like hard hitting stuff here. And I apologize for getting so focused on snacks, but that's just, you know, that's, I think we all just always want to know about snacks.
Here's something to know about snacks is that normally what happens on a film set is there's this thing called craft services.
I wanted to ask about craft services during COVID.
Right. So it's like an open bar basically of garbage, often very delicious garbage. And in this case, again, COVID, no vaccines. So like the food was always behind like a partition. So there was no more like hand to mouth nuts, no like picking your own food. You had to go through a live person in order to admit to them what you were about to do to yourself with food. And so that was like this weird, it really like kept us on our best behavior, and it meant we had to like feel our feelings. I did manage to get incredibly naughty with them. Like there would be a certain point on a Friday night when we'd been there for 12 hours as background artists and we're losing our goddamn minds and had done just as many Saturday crossword puzzles as we possibly could, that like I lost all respect for myself and all fear of the craft services person. And I was like, yes, more. Give me more now. But those were built-in inhibitors.
I mean, it sounds wild. It sounds wild to be able to like create art all about being uninhibited at a party where people are mingling with each other and breathing the same air during the height of COVID when we were washing our groceries.
Exactly. You're exactly right. It was so weird. You know what? It's so funny. It's like, it was actually so awful that I think there's a part of me that like a woman who's just given birth, like I've forgotten it on like a biological level. I've just like put it away to never have to deal with again. But it was weird. It was weird. It was no weirder, I guess, than like the incredibly insane, bizarre character that I created in this woman named Indigo, who you will see is just, I mean, she really is a clown, created from the depths of my depravity, but like,
Well, tell us more.
okay, so when, again, this wasn't just me, Chris and Phil wrote this character named Indigo, but I didn't get it. I didn't get it. When I got the audition, I was like, this is so clearly not, I have no idea what to do with this. So instead of trying to do what I think they want and like throw a dart at that thing over there that I think they're looking for, I'm just going to scrap that. And I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. And so on the page, to my eye, I don't know if this is what they actually meant, but on the page, it looked like she was some sort of combination of like a very, very like filthy hippie type who believes in like eating human breast milk cheese, and also like a nihilist. I didn't get it. So I just decided to do the whole thing as a very, very, very cranky Upper West Side Jew who was in an awful marriage and just completely exhausted. And I just said the words. I didn't rewrite them or anything. So it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. I just did what was on the page like that. And Chris very kindly said, you're going to have the job that was derivative of nothing I've ever seen. So that's how I did it the rest of the time. I just made myself laugh with this like extremely drunk, totally exhausted, elderly woman who probably lived like asleep between the top flap of a piano and a book. And I just came from that place.
I mean, I feel like that, isn't that the Meisner technique? That's what I'm told is the Meisner technique. Just kidding. I don't really know much about the Meisner technique or anything, but this just sounds wild. Is that normal? So you've clearly gone into auditions before and smoked them because you have an amazing resume and you keep working and you keep on, you're a fantastic actress. But like, what is the usual process for going in and reading for people? Like, are there any stories of doing that, but it didn't work out, I guess?
Yes. Yes, but if I'm ever, okay, so the job I have right now, I play this woman named Dr. Mia Castries. She's the head of holistic medicine. And to my eye, again, on the page, what I thought I saw was, okay, they want this to be like Phoebe Buffay from Friends, or like some sort of wide-eyed, like Amanda Seyfried character who's like very into crystals. And I tried that and I was working on it and I was running lines. And at one point I just said, I'm not having any fun at all. I'm not having any fun at all. So I think this time I'm gonna have a great time. And normally every time I do that, whether or not I book the job, I'm very proud of it. And I feel like I give a good and lively and full of breath, real person performance. In this case, in the case of New Amsterdam, what I found for doing that was like, oh, if I do that, it's just going to be an idea. But I think actually, if you are a person who's really into crystals and really into healing your body through natural modalities, you're not actually Phoebe Buffay. You are rich and you went to Yale and you have all of the time in the world to pursue Ayurveda to go on yoga retreats, and it just totally changed me. And ultimately, when I spoke to the creator, when I got the job and we were just having a creative conversation about it, that was what he had in mind. That he was hoping that someone would actually think, oh, it actually comes from a place of like white privilege, not growing up on a ashram. So that didn't answer your question at all. The bottom line is, whether or not I book a job, it's never wrong to find the way to have a fantastic time, because no one wants to see a person doing an audition where they're very concerned about getting a good grade. It's not interesting. It's so it's like the death of life, you know?
Well, I love the part about doing like making sure you're having fun as you do it, because it does, I will say, it does really seem like you are having fun in that role. Like it is clearly like you got doctors, hospital, science, and then you've got a person who's a doctor and also super down with crystals, and just walking in there and placidly, like facing them down, bull in the China shop style. I mean, it's fun. I totally get it.
Grateful
And
that you said that. Thank you.
You're welcome. No, I mean, I did my research for this interview. I mean, it's actually kind of happened just more because like I've been doing the research ongoingly and enjoying consuming your art, and consuming your art in the form of reading my words. And when you were talking about having fun, like I had a blast writing that monologue at like 2 a.m. while my family was asleep, like just, some of the weirder lines. And I was like, this works for me. Like sometimes you just have to let your own highly individual freak flag fly. And if it cracks you up, you're doing something right.
When you get into the stream, like in the truth, in the vulnerability, I know this is just going to be so corny now, but that is when you actually touch what it is to be a person. And the more that we like blow dry our hair and, say the sad line in a sad way and say the happy line in a happy way, the farther I think we fall from like what it means to be a person, which is to be so sad and laughing at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Which is what I remember coming up for me with your words, was like, this is so ridiculous. That like those two feelings run so close together. But I think the other thing that's important for me as I kind of grow up is like, I really hope in a way, like the work I always want to do, the only work I want to do is real capital W writing, right? The real writing. But there's also a certain part of me that's like, I almost hope that I shouldn't say this because it'll happen.
Oh, you should definitely say it. Definitely go ahead and say it. As long as it's not a spoiler for This Is Us, because I do feel like we could get a season desist from NBC.
It's not. But so for instance, I was saying in the after party, I was like, I'm not a central role in this show. I'm a small part. And that's perfectly fine, because I got to be me, Genevieve, formerly the lead of this show, Good Girls Revolt, and this other show called Flack. And and I loved those shows so much. I mean, talk about writing. Those shows are fucking great. And I won the lottery with those shows. But what's the right way of saying this? The right way of saying this is the truth. I want to be a character actor. I don't care. There might have been like some childhood unmet need in me that wanted to be seen and important and loved. And I've really fed that. I feel very loved. And now I just want to be an artist. And so often that comes in the form of these little fringe freaks like Indigo. And it's very unusual that someone who has had the good fortune and ability to be a leading lady gets to transition into a clown, which is what I want. I don't need to do that anymore. I'm so grateful to when those two things intersect. Oh my God, that's the dream. But I'd really rather have an amazing time playing a little gremlin than a less good time playing the object of male desire, or a serious one who doesn't get to do that much but carries the arc of the story, you know?
No, I know exactly what I mean, as a theater kid, right? I mean, there's there's Sarah Brown in Guys and Dolls, and like really she only has fun doing If I Were a Belle. It's like you can be Sarah or you can be Adelaide, always having fun.
Or you can go to an all-girls school where all of the parts are played by women, and you can play Joey Biltmore of the Biltmore Garage.
The Biltmore Garage wants a grand. We ain't got a grand on hand. We can devolve into musical theater, drop of a hat. This I know. But wait, were you really Joey Biltmore?
Yep.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. That's now you just brought me back to like so many years of summer camp theater. And I know that's what everybody who tuned in today wants to hear. It's about how the greatest professional joy of my life before the turn of the millennium was putting Grease 2 on stage in 1994. I will stand by that. But Genevieve, I'm
Crisis after this, or
sorry?
Are you going to Marie's Crisis after this? Or
I true story. I was very briefly and unmemorably for most people, but memorably for me, a waitress at Marie's Crisis. Oh yes, I was.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh God, I love that so much.
I have some very weird musical theater cred to my name, as I'm still trying. But actually, when you were talking about sort of like that feeling of wanting to do like to really like feel the art and embody the character and all of that kind of made me feel like, is that kind of a like a metaphor for doing TV, doing like on camera work versus being on stage? There's obviously like a big difference between the two, or maybe not, because you have done both and I have just watched both. But you've been you've been on Broadway, like you've done the theater and you've done the on-screen stuff. So like what is the difference on an artistic level? Does that or am I just sort of like applying something that doesn't quite fit?
No. I mean, so the difference on an artistic level is technical and it's not technical. The technical part of it is about instrument. So acting on screen is playing a triangle, and acting on stage is playing a tuba. I mean, it really is like you have to have the training to know how to make this cage vibrate. Like you actually, I'm not joking, that your cage has to vibrate.
No, it's funny that you say that, because we have an ongoing series with The List every Thursday, and last Thursday we had a speaker who is also a performer, and she was talking about all of the mechanisms required in getting your voice out, and she talked about the vibration of the cage. So it really does. SaksWorks does it all, and sometimes it does the same thing very weirdly into the subsequent interviews. But continue talking about the stage cage.
Well, it's just that. It's just, you it would sort of be like, I'm trying to think of other equivalents, but it'd sort of be like, well, basketball, you jump and shoot with your arms, and tennis, you also use your arms. Like it's just, you need to have certain musculature in your lips and tongue, and you need to be able to know how to breathe into the lower back quadrant of your lungs, and you need to know, like, there's so much, and then of course there's the lifestyle element. There's no money. There's the athleticism of 8 shows a week. There's the sort of like the melatonin of getting having the peak of your energy be at 8 p.m. at night. So that all is, I know that wasn't your question, but it's a very real part of that job. The reason people do it is because as a stage artist, you're not selling anything other than the ticket. Like, you're not selling Diet Coke or burgers or whatever the commercial is. So you don't really have to, you don't have to please anyone other than the people in the audience who ostensibly came to see art because they spent a lot of money. So there's it's the actor's art form. Like, the actor, it really falls on the actor alone in the space, engaging with the person in the audience. And that's why we love it. And so much of the time, that's where the great test writing is, where the greatest writing is. Certainly we're going through a wild golden age of television, and have been for the last 2 decades. But in television, there's just this whole other stamina, because it's making it when your day is 14 hours, and sometimes you have to be most on and most alive at 5 o'clock in the morning on the front end of your day or the back end of your day. But also, you aren't the ultimate artist. The director and the editor will chop your performance into a million pieces, and ultimately the take that they choose will be the one where the focus is right, not the one where the performance is best sometimes. So there is a lot of leaving ego at the door in every opportunity, in the case of money in theater, and in the case of I would say agency in television and in film. And the difference as an instrument is just that, like, people, when they're talking, still want to project and telegraph their experience, whereas when it's a conversation like this, everything has to happen behind your eyes. Like, it can't even come out of you. Cameras are so refined, and they read so much that you almost just have to think the thought rather than do anything.
I have never heard it expressed that way, and that is really fascinating, I have to say. This is the thing about printers. They just go on out of for no reason. I apologize for that background noise of my ghost printer just springing to life. That is, yeah, super professional. This is a form of live theater right here. Yeah, it really is. Okay, so this actually gives us a very good opportunity to segue into the most recent art form that you have been experimenting with, which is ASMR Rambles. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is? And you can even do it. You can even whisper it if you want to set our.
I can't. I mean, I would try, but basically, this is what it is. So I had never heard of ASMR before. I'm going to say 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I was in a relationship with someone who was a bigger freak than I am, and had had really experienced the sensation of ASMR. ASMR, for the uninitiated, is a feeling of relaxation that sort of goes from the top of your head down your spine. It's almost like it's a massage inside your brain. And for a lot of people, it happens spontaneously for a number of different reasons, with a wide variety of triggers. And some people have some of them and not others. And some people don't have any at all. My boyfriend has misophonia and hates it. But the triggers are anything from aural triggers, like a lot of people get it from the sound of tapping or chewing or whispering or soft speaking. And then for other people, they're visual. Some people get it from certain hand movements. And then for a lot of people, it's psychological, and they get it from personal attention, or in the instance of when you go and you get a physical and people ask you questions about yourself while really taking you in, and or getting measured for a suit, or filling forms out over the phone. I don't know what it is at this point, still sort of like dark matter, like a pseudoscience. There's no real graph of like what happens in the body when it happens. But I was like, oh, I think he listened to it, and I was like, I think I get that. Like when the doctor like holds a light up to your eye and looks in your eye, and you know they're looking at you, and it feels kind of relaxing, and you're like, oh yeah, that's great. And it's not the same as a massage or when someone's actually making physical contact with you. It's just this kind of feeling of relaxing. In any event, so I started by listening to people who are like, really like asking questions. And sorry, that's my dog. Come here, sweetie.
We gonna meet a dog?
I don't know. I think he's gonna go protect us from an intruder. And then what I found, this is Jack Lemmon. Oh my God. The benefits of not being at SaksWorks.
We're dog friendly at SaksWorks, I think.
Okay.
I think so. I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that on something. Hi, cutie. Hello.
I'm stressed. So what I subsequently found was this one particular artist and a handful of artists who would just ramble about their day. The most like inane kind of random detail, but then also like really vulnerable, really like they were almost like diary entries. And I was so it's the most unbelievable way of it's just an incredible attachment, because it's a person who, and a lot of them were anonymous, right? Like not using their real name, some of them not even like showing their whole face. It's a person whose whole true real life you're taking in every time they give a new kind of vlog about what's going on for them in a whisper or soft spoken. And then after a while, people would like grow up and stop making videos, and it would be like finishing an amazing book about a real person that just ends after years. And I found myself getting very attached to these, like typically they were like young girls, under the age of 23. And it never occurred to me to enter the fray ever. But I have depression and I don't have a ton of control over my artistic expression as an actor. So I started thinking, oh my God, wouldn't it be amazing if I just had a platform? And what's really missing is like so many of these artists are young. They're really young. And I think maybe one of the upsides of what they're doing is that they're talking about stuff that's sort of like meaningless enough that you can fall asleep listening to it. But there aren't any grown-ups here. Like there's no women like in their 30s talking about mental health or talking about relationships or the inner workings of Hollywood, or you know what I mean? And like I don't know if that works or if it's interesting, but I think maybe I'm gonna join. Why would I not do it? Because I don't want to look weird. That's so sad. Like talk about things that I'll regret on my deathbed. And also maybe this will be a flop. But the people who get stuff done, I found, are not like the most talented, qualified people. They're just the people who do it. They're just the people who do it. And so it's like often, people who aren't, it's like the most intelligent people who have the most overactive, amygdala or whatever, that are like most worried about like how they're going to be perceived because they're so intelligent that don't actually ever do the thing. So I decided to do the thing.
Comparison is the thief of joy, and also setting up your YouTube channel. And I think it's very cool, and you tackle real subjects. It's a mixture of fun, but also very relaxing, but then you sort of get into it. And that is like, it's an interesting combination. How has the feedback been? Do you have like regulars that show themselves to be regulars by their comments, or how does it?
Totally. I mean, okay, the truth is I do, but I also don't look. I know that I feel that thing in myself that wants to start getting smart about it, that wants to start people pleasing or like giving them what they want, or and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because at the heart of all of this, like, it is, I think, service. I think my greatest, the albatross in my life is insomnia, and so if I get to do something that helps me, that helps other people fall asleep, oh my God, what I've found my purpose. But I also know that it kills my joy if I start worrying too much about what people want, and that, like, I did it for me. I did it for me. So I try to, like, honor the art form, honor what it is that actually makes people fall asleep, right? So, like, I don't have tapping, I don't have scratching or crunching or anything like that, but I try to throw some in because some people do. But then again, it's like, I can't just, I don't know. I can't talk about This Is Us in every episode, you know? So.
I mean, SaksWorks is very engaged with wellness and like the full panoply of ways in which to be well, feel well, sort of like look after yourself, pay attention to how you're feeling. And it's just a really interesting form. I was so piqued when it was like, because you could probably do anything if you on your YouTube channel. And this was the thing. But it also seemed, even without knowing you so well, like it just seemed so quintessentially perfect for you and possibly for Dr. Mia Castries. I think she'd approve.
Yeah.
Well, like, should we try, like, we have a few questions and I want to get to them, but like, should we try a few? Because I'm going to take your lead. I think that was very low. I'm doing that like theater kids stage whisper thing.
I I have like a whole microphone and I don't know that.
Okay, we'll do that for we'll revisit and we'll have a whole ASMR set up. And this was just for talking about craft and the after party and all the before parties and your dog and getting into some stuff. But we always want to leave room for Q&A because people who aren't me have also have questions for you. So I'm gonna get to that. We have a few here. Anonymous attendee. We respect your anonymity, anonymous attendee. What is the most hilarious story you have as an actor during COVID? Got to find the humor in whatever this is.
Hilarious story. Does it have to be a COVID related story, or is it just about, I mean, I thought it was very funny when I found people wiping down the box I was sitting in, AKA my trailer, when I like heard the squeegee of people cleaning the box. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, I can't think of a funny COVID acting story. I don't have one. I'm so sorry. I can't think of one.
Well, if you'd like, you can substitute it with the most hilarious text on the text chain, on the super secret text chain.
I also can't do that. I don't have the consent of people on the chain.
I know, I'm a monster. I'm a total monster.
No, I love
it. Someone asked what your favorite ASMR video you've created is.
That I've created. I really like the last one just because the sound quality is so good. But then there are other ones that I'm like so obsessed with that don't get a lot of love. My favorite video, I think the first one is really good. I think the first one where I just try ASMR for the first time and I introduce the channel is like very present and humble and like revealed. Do some really raw ones on eating disorder recovery. I think one that I super love is where I just give advice to people who think that I'm a good person to talk to about how to express to your parents that you identify as transgender. Like I'm so honored that I'm being asked. Yeah.
That's a quite a responsibility to go from I'm gonna whisper some things to you to be asked for something.
They know they're getting what they paid for.
I guess so. Well, we can also, if you have any advice that you would like to ask of Genevieve, she's also here for that for the next 10 minutes. We have another question here. Bebe says, thank you so much for being here today, Genevieve. How do you think being part of the after party during the pandemic has helped you grow as an artist in all realms? It's a good question, Bebe.
You know, I think that's a really good question, because I think when in the presence of really, really, really big celebrities who are all also very practiced in improv, which is its own skill and art form. And I don't have that. I've never done that. I've never been a groundling or done UCB or anything like that. And I have so much respect for it and know that it's like really a craft that you learn. They've all done it. I think it's difficult to be in that environment and also like be one of 3 kids and feel like that little Genevieve jump up and be like, I need to party, I need to play, I need to be included. I'm just going to talk louder and I'm going to jump in and I'm going to like try to keep up with the big kids, to sort of like, when in the face of like of energy that loud, to sort of like self to like, what's the word, to regulate to regulate, stay in your lane, to know that like it takes all kinds of people to play in an orchestra. So you need like the first violin and the first cello and whatever. And then you also like need the piccolo. Like you need people to be playing different things. And I'm a sniper when it comes to acting. Like I will actually give you the line that you put on the page, and I will attack it. But to be able to like hold that so that I have the confidence to go in and do my work, because I do think that like as an actor, you just must be confident. Like it has to be, the first thing I have to do is assume that I am brilliant. Like that's a baseline. I'm brilliant. And so I'm about to do something so fucking brilliant. And if I fuck it up, like it's going to be fucked up more brilliantly than anyone ever fucked anything up. You have to come from that place where there's no creation possible. And that's just really difficult to do when you're in the company of like real titans who do something different, you know, who are really good at what, do you know what I mean? It takes a lot of like tending to this, coaxing this.
That was such good advice. It is very hard as a person, as a woman mother following a pandemic, in a pandemic, to come at anything like I am fucking brilliant. Like this is going to be like a watershed of brilliance. And it's a good feeling when you can muster it and remember the skills you have and what you bring to the table. And it's, I mean, it's good advice, and it's good advice to try and tap into it. We only have a few minutes left. Like, is there something you do to tap into that? Do you power pose? Do you have a mantra? Do you, I don't know, like dance really hard to Maniac?
I don't know. I think that like, it is definitely about like, just that quiet knowing, you know, like that quiet kind of like, remember who you are, remember the things that really light your flame, tap into those memories where you know your worth and you know how good you are. And then, I don't know, I think just remember that like everyone's having that private conversation. Even the person who's like leading the like off-scene, you know, incredible banter, like just in the cast chairs, who's like, it's also like, it's such a big group of boys. And I don't have a ton of experience with that. I'm from a family of 3 daughters. I went to an all-girls school. I've just always been really surrounded by feminine energy. So this kind of like male besting thing. I'm not criticizing them. They're hysterical. Like I could laugh at them all day, but I think there was a part of me that was like, oh, those are the rules of the game. I don't know how to play, you know? And that's like, oh no, oh no. And so to sort of be like, I can eat that. I can like enjoy that. I can take in with like so much gratitude the front row seat I'm getting to that, and also like be in my kind of divine feminine thing where I don't have to join the boxing ring in order to I don't know. I don't yeah, how do you resist that urge when it feels like that's where all of the meaning of your value comes from? I don't know.
I mean, that's the question, right? Is there, it's not always, you know, like what you can give, what you can produce, and what seems to be externally valued, and by whom, and in what circumstances, and in what light, be it ring light or gaslight.
Wow. It's so interesting. You know, I think I just have to like at a certain point be like, you know, I can't force anything. Like I can't make myself funnier than these like 8 actors who are the funniest people on the planet Earth. I can either fail trying or I cannot try. And one of those ways has more dignity, but the other ways, like, I think I just become depleted and believe I'm supposed to be different than I am. And it's very helpful for me to just kind of like send it up.
I mean, it sounded to me a lot like when you described coming into these auditions and bringing your own unique magic to it. Like that's improv. That's you know, taking the gift of the scene and then adding to it, and then hopefully the person, like if the people in the scene with you are doing it right, then they'll say yes and they'll add to it themselves. And it's like everything you've said today suggests that even without sort of being formally trained in improv, as who even is, well, a lot of people are, but I'm not sure any on this call are, maybe, but you know, saying yes and adding to it, and just walking through with as a big old yes and a big old yes, and I'm gonna take what's there and I'm gonna add to it. And it's literally in improv, it's like called a gift when you are in a scene and you add something, you throw it to someone so they can do something with it. And I think that like improv or training or no, like it sounds like you give a lot of gifts wherever you go. And I know this because I've worked with you.
Thank you.
So, there you go. I think that is a very wonderful note to end on. You've certainly given us the gift of just your candid recollections and stories here, even if not the most candid reading of your text messages, which there's really no reason why you should, but I should at least try and ask. Genevieve, thank you so much. It is really wonderful to just sit and chat with you. It was exactly the experience I wanted it to be and more. And I can't wait to welcome you back with a proper microphone set up so we can do all this while whispering.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. It would be my pleasure. I can't wait to come use my free day pass at SaksWorks.
You are incredible. See, look at that. Another gift to all of us. You're the greatest. Thank you so much. Everybody watch the after party, and I guess also share it out on all the socials and say how amazing the dashing, fantastic, brooding Upper West Side cranky Jew channeling Genevieve Angelson is in the role of Indigo. Such a pleasure. Really just such a wonderful pleasure. Thank you so much for being here, and can't wait to experience everything you were talking about on screen on January 28th on Apple TV. Did I do that right?
Yeah, you did great. Okay. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Genevieve. Bye, everyone.